How do I make my own program for building muscle? Lots of things on the internet are not true.
What is a gym myth you believed for the longest time?
Biggest myth that I learned was
Not going to help you, it's going to do the complete opposite.
you want to build muscle and you want to see results, that is a complete waste of time. Well, you don't get abs from doing crunches.
You can feel confident going into the gym knowing what are your tips for increasing energy. No matter how much caffeine I have, I always feel tired.
You're gonna drop. I want to grow my glutes. I eat lots of protein and I train legs most days, but nothing's changed.
It is a complete facade to believe for a minute that. We are back with another episode.
And today we're answering more of your questions. I've trained myself to questions. You guys have been sending in so many and we cannot thank you enough. We are going to be answering as many as we can. Let's get into it.
Question number 1. What is a gym myth you believed for the longest time?
Ooh. When you are new into the gym and you don't have much knowledge, you rely on other people, usually the internet. And a lot of the things on the internet are not true. I think the biggest myth that I learned was quantity over quality.
Yeah.
So by that I mean the amount I did was more important than what I was actually doing. So I thought if I was in the gym for 2 hours doing about 20 exercises, training physically until I couldn't stop, I'd make more progress than if I was in the gym for 45 minutes doing 4 exercises. And the reality is you will make more progress doing those 4 exercises than you will doing those 20.
Yeah, absolutely. And even more to the point of quality over quantity is that anything you do incorrectly is ineffective. So doing more of something that you're doing ineffectively is not going to help you. It's going to do the complete opposite, waste your time, in the worst cases, cause an injury.
Exactly, and then that's why when people are training but they're hurting whilst they're training, there's no point carrying on. But it's not going to be doing what you think it's doing anyway. So it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
This is mainly if we're talking hypertrophy training and power training. If you want to build muscle and you want to see results, that is a complete waste of time.
I think the gym myth I believed for a long time is that quick home workouts would get me results.
Yeah, lockdown, what a time.
Yeah, lockdown was a big part of that. What didn't help is that the people putting out these home workouts were really fit and good looking. What's her name now? Paloma or Pamela?
Yeah, oh my god.
Yeah.
Pamela Reif?
Yes.
Is that her name?
I think that's her name, but she's just an example of somebody who put out a lot of these home workouts, especially during that lockdown period. She has the most amazing abs, really good looking girl. So naturally, I assumed if I do these home workouts religiously, I'm going to get abs like this. I would just look amazingly toned and wonderful and life would be great.
Yeah.
I did the home workouts all the time and I didn't make that much progress because you just can't. You're not putting your body through enough stress, enough challenge to really see progress.
Yeah.
It is a complete facade to believe for a minute that home workouts are gonna allow you to make the real results that you want.
Yeah, you're gonna need that extra resistance, and unless you have a home gym, dumbbells and weights laying around that are heavy, you're not gonna see the results you want. But I think alongside that, it was the doing it every day. There was a girl on YouTube, I can't remember her name for the life of me, but she had such a nice arse, and it was captioned, "Get a big arse in 13 days." And she filmed herself doing some Bulgarians on a chair, doing some glute bridges on the floor. I remember it so well because I did this shit for 13 days straight, believe me.
Yeah.
And it did nothing. A girl in the comments saying, "Oh my god, it worked day 1 and my mum said that my bum already looks bigger." And obviously at the time I was like, "Oh my god." You know, I'm 13 days in. I haven't had a rest day for 13 days. I've been training every single day. That's mistake number 1. And I wasn't adding any weight. I wasn't increasing the reps in those 13 days. Mistake number 2. I wasn't eating right. Mistake number 3.
It just doesn't take into account anything. It's so polarizing on the actual workout itself.
Yeah, it's like all those Pinterest challenges. Do 100 sit-ups a day.
Yeah. Oh,
You're not
no.
gonna get abs.
Everyone falls for them.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're not.
If it's too easy, it's too easy, full stop. Results don't happen overnight. You have to put the work in.
Yeah. I remember abs are made in the kitchen.
You love that saying.
It's true. It's my tagline.
Explain.
Well, you don't get abs from doing crunches. When you see people doing them, it's more for their own fun and enjoyment than it is for...
Which doesn't sound possible, but...
It's kind of true.
It is true.
I do it occasionally. I might do a little ab circuit. Just as like a little burnout or just to spice up my workout.
Even to just strengthen your core.
Exactly that. Strengthening your core is more important than having abs, to be honest.
Especially if you're trying to do weightlifting.
Yeah.
You need to support yourself for those movements, so it's really important to have a strong core for that.
Exactly. That's more important than trying to get abs. Abs are made in the kitchen because if you want visible abs, you need a low enough body fat percentage. And having a low enough body fat percentage comes from eating a certain amount of calories and eating in a certain style. So please don't expect to walk into the gym and do a plank every day and get abs.
Yeah. Wanting to see abs, wanting to see an hourglass figure. We've spoken about this before on the podcast, where if you're growing your oblique muscles, which are on the either side of your rib cage, if you're targeting those muscles, they're only going to come out like this rather than go further in. If you're growing a muscle, it's going to grow out, right? It's not going to reduce in size.
So you're going to look more square.
Yeah.
That's like when I used to sit there and do these.
More square. How it contributes to your mindset. If you're constantly focused on doing quick workouts to see results, then you're going to be more frustrated at the fact that it's not working, as opposed to trying to do more to see results, do more work. Your mindset's a very powerful thing in working towards making true results.
Question number 2. I like this question. How do I make my own program for building muscle? I don't know how many days or exercises to do, so I usually make it up as I go. That's really relatable.
Yeah.
Because that's something I did for the longest time ever. And I'm sure a lot of other people can relate to that.
Yeah. It relates somewhat actually to your less is more gym myth. Generally when people see a workout and it's got lots of different things in, if you don't know anything about the gym, that might seem more appealing because it seems like you're doing more work and therefore that equates to more results or better results. You can never do something well if your attention is bouncing all over the place. Making a program, if you keep it really simple and focused and result based to maybe 4-5 at a push exercises, then you're more likely to be focused on getting those movements right and feeling muscle engagement in a way that's going to lead to results. Yeah. If you're stacking a program with lots and lots of different exercises, then you're never going to be able to truly focus on those for a long enough period to get good at them, to improve with them and see progress.
Definitely, and that was always my biggest problem. There'd be some movements I'd always do, but there'd be some movements I just get so bored of, so I'd always want to switch it up and I'd go into the gym and always try something new. And that's great when you start to get a hang of certain movements and how they might work, but it's not going to help you see any growth. No. You need to stick to the basics and perfect them and increase the weight with them. And then only once you feel like you're peaking at that exercise and you've hit a certain weight with it, or you genuinely have outdone it to the point in which you're getting really bored and you don't want to go to the gym, that's when you then start to alter it. That doesn't mean change the whole program, it just means swap a few exercises around. If you want to build the perfect program for building muscle, the 3 main things that you need to know: 3 to 5 days a week is adequate. 3 to 5 exercises per muscle group is adequate. And you want to target different muscle groups on different days. So you don't want to be doing full body 5 times a week.
Yeah.
You want to split it up so you can focus in more depth on specific areas.
It's that, and also allowing time for your muscles to recover from the session you just did.
Exactly. If you're training legs 3 days in a row, they're not getting a chance to grow. They're not getting a chance to recover. They're just constantly being put under this tension. And all that's going to happen is if you do it for long enough, they're actually going to tear and you're going to injure yourself.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to be able to train legs for a long time. So split it up in a strategic way that works well with you. If you're aiming to do 3 days a week, you might want to do 1 full upper body day, 1 lower body day, and 1 full body day. If you want to go a few more days a week, for example 5, which is quite common and what a lot of people do, you might want to split it even further, so you'll have more of a push day, which is your chest, your triceps and your shoulders. You'll have a pull day, which is your back and your biceps. So you're really splitting the upper body even further. And then 2 leg days a week and maybe 1 full body day.
Yeah.
It's just finding what works best with you. If you're doing it alone, that might take some trial and error, and that's okay. We all start somewhere. I do think that that's another really good benefit of having a coach, is that you don't have to worry about that part. They do it all for you.
Yeah, they take the thinking out of it. You can feel confident going into the gym knowing that you're doing something that is effective.
Exactly. There's 1 or 2 clients that have actually turned around to me and said, I like training with you because I don't have to think. The last mistake that I think people make when it comes to building a program for building muscle is that they stick with the same program or split for too long. As we touched on earlier, you do need to alter exercises here and there. Now, this isn't every couple of weeks. This is a longer frame of time. This is more 6, 8, 10 weeks. But you do want to make sure you are altering your program enough so that it's still challenging you and it still excites you.
I hope that answers your question. Moving on. Question number 3.
I always like when people do 3 because you never know if they're going to do this or they're going to do this.
No, who does that? What sane person does that?
Question number 3.
It's like an alien hand. What are your tips for increasing energy? No matter how much caffeine I have, I always feel tired. I mean, it alarms me already that you're having lots of caffeine. I'm assuming from the way that question was worded.
As good as caffeine can be for you, it does have some adverse effects on you. It can, if you have enough of it, cause heart palpitations. There is a reason there is a stated dose on it, and there is also a reason there is an actual age limit on having over a certain amount.
Yeah.
If you're under the age of 18, you should be having more than something like 150 milligrams a day, which is probably just over a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Not having coffee past 2 p.m. is really important because caffeine stays in your system. And if it's in your system till late, you're less likely to sleep because the effect of blocking your tired hormone is still going to be present. And I can speak for that because I used to have pre-workout in the evening when I went to the gym after work. Pre-workout is something crazy. I think a scoop is the equivalent to 3 cups of coffee, I want to say, or more. So imagine having that past 4 p.m. and trying to sleep.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Exactly. But that's the other thing. I was not a morning person in the slightest. And say I had school or work at 9 a.m, I'd stay in bed till the last possible moment, get up at 8:30, run around like a headless chicken and get there. As opposed to getting up at maybe 7, having that hour and a half to get ready, relax and be prepared. And in my head, I thought, oh no, I'm just being smart because I'm spending more time in bed and making the most of my morning. That's not true, because if anything, then your cortisol levels are a lot higher first thing in the morning. Cortisol, which is our main stress hormone. Your cortisol level is going to spike and you're going to be really hyper. You're going to be running around, sorting everything out. The minute you're out of that stressful situation and you get to work or school and you finally sit down, you're going to drop and you're going to feel even more tired.
You feel less energized when you're cramming more into a short space of time. Having enough time to do things is really important for your energy. You can evenly disperse it. Dispersing energy is something to consider. A workout, for example, you need to have more energy to do a bigger lift, so therefore you're going to do the bigger lift at the start of the workout rather than leaving it to the end where you're more fatigued, you're less likely to lift as much weight. Thinking about how you're using your energy is really important. Now some tips to help with energy. Being mindful around when you're having caffeine. Doing a workout will boost your energy because it boosts your dopamine levels, your heartbeat rises. Eating is so important.
Yeah, food is the biggest part, and that's a normal big telltale sign to see not only if you're eating the right things, but if you're eating enough. Usually if you have low energy levels, there's certain foods you're probably not eating enough of. Carbs do release glucose, which is our main source of energy in our blood, which gives us that short-term energy. Complex carbs as opposed to sugary chocolate and cakes and bread. And if you're on keto or you don't eat carbs, make sure you're eating enough dietary fat because it has the same effects. It releases ketones the way carbs release glucose, which will also give you that same energy and usually for longer periods of time. I'd recommend going and getting a blood test done. The doctor will check your blood for your vitamin levels, your iron levels, hormonal levels. There's so many parts that contribute to your energy. If you're not having enough iron in your diet, have enough B vitamins in your diet, which is usually in a lot of carb-based products, a lot of wheat, chances are you're going to lack a lot of energy. Supplementing could be an option. Getting a B12 tablet or an iron tablet could also be an option. However, that's definitely not the initial route I'd go down. Focus on your diet before you focus on any supplements.
Yeah.
Getting up early and naturally will increase your energy.
If you're trying to do things that you need to be productive for later in the evening, you're far less likely to be successful because naturally you've exerted lots of energy throughout the day. You'll feel more tired. It'll be darker. So it's good to wake up early. It gives you more time to wake up energized, do your most productive or time-consuming tasks at the start of the day as opposed to the end.
Another reason exercise boosts your energy is because it does raise your estrogen levels and your testosterone levels, which in turn will give you energy.
Consider your lifestyle, how you're spending time in the evenings. If you're going out to socialize, that will require energy. If you're drinking late at night and eating late at night, that's also going to affect your energy and how you sleep.
Around who else you're around. If you're around people, energy suckers I call them, people who are just draining and just negative, that is going to affect your energy. I do genuinely believe that.
You are your environment.
Exactly, and if they drag you down, chances are you're going to also feel really low and feel more tired and more negative and just have a low mood and everything associated with that. If you're around energetic people, optimistic people, happy people, working people, you're actually going to be more energetic. When I'm around people who bounce off my energy, you know, it hypes you up. It builds that sort of momentum.
Yeah, absolutely.
So think about who you're around as well, not just what you're doing, but who you're placing yourself around.
Absolutely, because energy is contagious.
Exactly that. Question number 4. I was just thinking of other ways I could do 4.
4, or are you going to go like...
4! I want to grow my glutes. I eat lots of protein and I train legs most days, but nothing's changed. What are your glute workouts?
Well, let's address the first part of that question. I train legs most days, similar to what we were saying earlier, in that you need to allow your body to rest and recover between sessions. So if you're continuously training legs, you're giving your body no time to recover, to repair, to build and grow from that. And therefore you're just tearing your muscles, which is likely to cause injury later down the line. So for a start, reduce how much and how frequently you're training legs. Give it a day or two in between.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to recover.
training legs 2 to 3 times a week is perfect. I train legs twice a week, and that's it.
I train it 2 to 3 times, and even then I change how I'm training legs. So I might do a more glute focused day, a more quad dominant day.
Yeah. So you said you eat lots of protein, that's great. That is going to help your muscles recover, but if you're not resting, they can't recover. So you've done half the battle, but you need to actually rest, which should actually be the easiest part, but that's the main thing you need to now focus on. When it comes to glute growth, it's the same as any other muscle. You want to be looking at how you're training them, not just how much you're training them. You want to make sure you're training with enough intensity, you're lifting enough weight, you're doing enough reps. When it comes to muscle building, the priority is the volume. So you want to make sure you're not just doing 3 sets of 12 of everything or 4 sets of 12. You know, you're training until failure. You're really getting that mind to muscle connection.
It isn't as simple as just doing 1 or 2 things or doing a home workout. You do need to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
You do need to progressively overload, but it's really important to do the movements correctly so that you're engaging those muscles.
Exactly. You need to challenge yourself. And if you're just staying in those rep ranges when you could easily be doing more, you're not going to be putting enough tension under those muscles for them to tear and then repair. So have a think about the way you're training. If you haven't already, create yourself a dedicated program for glute growth. You know, have your staple exercises that you're doing. Make sure they're in a specific order.
You want to target your glutes, so do movement patterns that are going to target your glutes. A squat, a hip hinge. I think that's it. I don't think you need any more movement patterns, but you need to do them well to see progress. Start with the heavier lift, don't end with it, otherwise you'll have no energy to do that, and you might even injure yourself trying to do that at the end.
This is something we do for a living. That is the most common request. If you want your glute muscles to grow, it's all well and good training with intensity and having a plan, but if you're not eating to match that, it's not really going to happen. If you're not giving your body enough fuel, it's going to use everything you give it through exercising just to complete your daily tasks and allow you to function properly. There's going to be not enough in excess for it to be used to grow those muscles. So you want to be eating in a calorie surplus as well. To answer the next part of your question, what are your glute workouts? We have very similar, if not the same, glute workout. We usually
do them together.
We usually train glutes together, so this is a nice simple question that we can both answer.
So we like to start off with a squat or hip thrust generally. If we're not starting with the hip thrust, then we'll superset it at a lighter weight with some Bulgarian split squats, which I love.
Yes,
and I attribute that to you.
The pump is crazy.
For real. I like to do an RDL closer to the start as well if I'm lifting with a lot of weight. If I'm doing it with less weight, for example on a cable, I'll save that sort of thing to the end. Maybe even superset that again with a Bulgarian split squat.
Yeah. Usually we do about 5 exercises. We'll do, you got your squats and hip thrusts. An RDL is always good. Some sort of lunge, whether that's a Bulgarian split squat or a reverse lunge.
Unilateral exercise.
And then usually to end with something like a glute kickback or a step up. So it's nothing too complicated. It's a very simplistic plan. We always stick to those same exercises. One last thing as well is you want to make sure that you're stretching your glutes enough, because if you're training them all the time and you're not stretching them out, chances are your muscles are going to get very, very tight. And then when it comes to performing exercises that are glute focused, they're not going to be engaged. So they're not going to grow because you're not actually training them. You'll end up training the muscles around them, like your hips or your quads or your hamstrings. Another muscle will compensate for that. You can find a 10-minute full body stretch on YouTube or foam rolling. You can find demonstrations on YouTube on how to foam roll. It's something you do want to add to your workout. Once a week is adequate. You don't just do it every single day, but it just ensures that they are actually being engaged when you are exercising.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point. It's so true, because otherwise you are just limited by range of motion.
Exactly. And when they're really tight, and then, you know, that will cause lower back pain because your lower back starts to take over.
Yeah, you start compensating, absolutely.
Exactly that.
That is all of your questions answered for this episode.
Thank you so much for watching, interacting and supporting us. We really appreciate all the love and support you guys have been giving us. It does not go unnoticed.
If you could like, follow and subscribe to our content, it would mean the world to us. It goes a really, really long way in helping us grow and help all of you, our listeners. You have been listening to Gains and Gossip.